Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's be clear. Let's be crystal clear. There is a war against veteran benefits. It's obvious. It has now transcended the CBO's office, the Congressional Budget Office, which is usually where this stuff happens, and a one-off, one-time per year article that's an opinion piece. It is now way past all of that, and really a glaring fire now is happening. Let's understand the impacts of this, the potentials, and where we fall in that, both us, the today us, and the tomorrow us, as in veterans. Before I jump into it, though, I do want to throw out a very special thank you to Gerald Gore. Gerald Gore, 3217. Thank you so very much for your super comment, super chat. I truly appreciate your support so very much. It was very generous. Gerald Gore, 3217. Look, congratulations on making it to 100%. I'm so glad that I was able to help. And for those of you out there, if you are on the fence and not sure if you are rated appropriately, this is the question. Are you rated appropriately? Are all of your conditions the right rating? Did you miss any potential secondary conditions? Have you missed a presumptive condition? Have conditions gotten worse and now you warrant a higher rating? These are the questions, and if you cannot answer those solidly, yes, I'm squared away, I'm exactly where I should be, then take advantage of our free email consultation and our guarantee that if we take you on to coach you through your nuanced situation, we guarantee that you'll get an increase. If we don't think we can get you an increase of any type, well, we're going to let you know you're pretty much where you need to be. So take advantage of the free email consultation, and if we take you on board, you can rest assured that we guarantee that you will get an increase. Now, just to give a quick overview, at Evidence-Based VA Claims, I personally am a former accredited veteran service officer, been in the veterans benefits world for more than a decade prior to doing a single video on YouTube. That's me. We have prior VA raters, former VA raters, right, that worked at the VA. They understand, obviously, the process. And we have a fantastic team that is capable and competent to help you. Bottom line. All right, so let's jump into this. What is going on is a war against benefits. Now, let's back up to today, to the todays of us, right? You're already rated for whatever you're rated for, and you are sitting squarely today wherever you are. Are you going to be impacted if things go haywire? Personally, I think no. I think they'll leave everybody alone who's already rated. Is there a chance that we could be? Sure. I mean, look, they make the rules up as they go, apparently. And there's plenty of folks out there that would champion changing it all. But do I think that's going to happen? No. That's too heavy of a lift. It is too much. They would rather just cut it and start fresh. Anybody new, this is what you got to deal with. And anybody old, you just get to keep where you're at. And then they just wait for us to die off, right? And then it's everybody new is going underneath a new system. So my personal belief is anybody who's already rated is safe where you're at. But then that brings up that question. Are you appropriately rated? On today's standards, right? That is the thing. Nobody's saying, go out and commit fraud and do crazy things. Nobody that I've ever worked with in the veterans benefits space has ever even suggested that. So it's about being properly rated based on all of the information that's out there today for your benefits. Don't let anybody shame you into not filing for your earned benefits. So again, the question then becomes, are you properly rated? And I went through, all the different, in every aspect, right? And if that answer is, I don't really know, reach out, because I can guarantee that 2 years from now is not going to look like today with regard to filing for your disability compensation benefits. Now, what do I mean? Do I have a crystal ball? No. But the one thing that we know for sure, now all of the rest is just guesses, but this is what we know for sure. We know for sure that 10 or 11 rating schedules have already been changed. For the most part, not for the better. We do know for sure that there are 4 rating schedules in the process of being changed and implemented. Those will take effect. Those 4 rating schedules are mental health, neurological, respiratory, and auditory. Those are the 4 separate rating schedules that are being changed. Now, I think there's a little bit of good, like most of the time. There's going to be a little bit of good and mostly bad. And what I mean by that is condensing down the likelihood of getting a higher rating. And again, this is just looking at what's there today and what's going to be there tomorrow. And if I had to sit across from you and say, hey, look, I know you have sleep apnea. You told me. Or you have all the signs of sleep apnea, for example. Or you have ringing in the ears, tinnitus. You need to file for that today on today's rating schedules because they're more advantageous to you under current law and rules and regulations and whatever from the VA. Those are going to change and become less advantageous for you. Tinnitus is disappearing as a standalone rateable condition, period. Tinnitus diagnostic code disappears. It will not be rated as a standalone condition in the future when VA implements the changes. Now the caveat, and last time I didn't say the caveat, but the caveat to it is, sure, you can still get rated for tinnitus, but only and only if you have a non-compensable hearing loss service connection with tinnitus. So you must have a non-compensable, a 0% rating hearing loss that the VA says, yep, you have enough hearing loss to rate this 0%. And with tinnitus, then they'll pay you out at 10%. So if you have 0 for hearing, but with tinnitus, then they give you a 10. Now, if you get a 10% rating for hearing loss and you have tinnitus, well, then that doesn't matter. They just give you the 10% for your hearing loss. So I don't know, call it a consolation prize. So it is important to understand that that rating is disappearing. There are the potential of secondary conditions that could come off of that, by the way. And so you don't want to miss out on having that as a service-connected condition. Now for respiratory, we have the sleep apnea change, which is essentially reducing the rating schedule downward drastically. In today's world, you would be rated at 50% with a CPAP machine. For example, if you got diagnosed with sleep apnea, it's service connected, and they prescribe you a CPAP, well, now you're going to be able to get a 50% rating. However, the new schedule, well, if they call it adequately treated, you could potentially have a 0%. So that's a huge difference. I hear Veterans Info Tap and me in all of my prior positions in the veterans benefits world have always championed veterans getting the most out of their benefits. If we know there's a change coming, you should take advantage of the current system right away. Now, that's what we know for sure. What we don't know for sure is, will there be any other drastic changes with regard to the VA disability compensation system? Now, my thought process is, well, there's a group of people that want there to be change, and better safe than sorry. So file now for everything that you can. Now, What we're in a fight for is those that come behind us, right? We have the opportunity as veterans today to file your claim, get it through the process, all of that ideally before, right? Before the rating schedule changes go into effect, or any other changes for that matter, and be good to go, and most likely be, we'll call it grandfathered in. There's no real, it doesn't say that anywhere, but it's essentially what it means. I believe that we would all be safe. But it's everybody else who's going to be getting out of the military in 3 years, 5 years, so on and so forth. There's probably going to be some more change. Now, what's that change going to look like? It's hard to take stuff back once it's given, so there is that. But here's the problem. If you've hung on so far, this is the real problem that we face. The real problem that we face as the veteran sphere, if you will, is a decreasing population. Okay? There's strength in numbers, right? There's strength in numbers, and that is so true when it comes to anything in the political world. The bigger the body is that cares about something, the more likely it's going to get done. As we dwindle away, it's going to be harder and harder to keep what we have, right? Because, well, let's face it, if it doesn't impact the votes, well, you can maybe wrap something around it. And if articles like the Washington Post, multiple articles, if the Washington Post type articles drive a wedge big enough between the American public, non-service members, non-veterans, and the veterans and service members, if that wedge is big enough, well, there's a lot more of them than us. So there's that. Now, when we talk about numbers, again, remember, numbers are key. Numbers are key. It's why I've joined multiple veteran service organizations so I could be an extra number for a few of them. Every number counts. Auxiliaries count. All of that stuff counts. What I am not a fan of doing in the mindset of creating a large number is not shortchanging our veteran sphere. Okay, the conversation is not disabled veterans or combat wounded veterans, right? That's a small percentage. Let's use we'll create a very small one. So the medically retired veterans, right? Medically retired veterans from the military. Okay, less than 20 years. What is it? 50,000, right? 40, 50,000. Not very big on votes when you sprinkle that throughout the U.S. So that's part of the reason, other than the fact that they say that it's a dollar figure thing, but they also know that it's not going to impact their votes. So then we talk about disabled veterans, right? So let's just use disabled veterans as the next kind of number. And what is that? 6 million something? So 6 million something, still not a tremendous number, okay? Then we move to, well, let's just talk about veterans, okay? Veterans is the word we're going to use. Okay, great. Now we're jumping up to somewhere between 16, 17 million veterans. That's good, getting better. Still, let's do some funny math real quick. So if we take 17 million and divide it over 50 states, you're looking at 340,000 per state. Obviously, there's big states that have much more, and there's smaller states that have much less. The big states would be California, Texas, and Florida with veteran population. Those are your top three. And it's anywhere between, it's like the low is maybe 1.1, 1.2 million in Florida, 1.6 or something like that, 1.5 in Texas and California. So you're talking about a little over 4 million in those three states. So in any case, the bottom line here is that it's not a huge number when you start to especially get into these other states. And if you look at something like California, for example, with a population of 40 million, Still not a lot. So not as strong as we need it to be. So instead, what we need to do is when we're talking with maybe a congressional member, or we're sending a letter or an email to a congressional member about something, we talk about the impacts for the veteran sphere, right? It impacts all of us, which is the veteran, the spouse, the surviving spouse, the dependent children, the caregiver. Well, now, instead of looking at, say, 17 million in the US, you might be talking closer to 40 million or so. That's a big number. So imagine the difference between disabled veteran, as defined by the VA, 6 million, or the veteran sphere, which is 40 million. Big difference when we're talking about trying to protect and preserve what we have. With that, I'll end it there. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you very much. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.